it's time to start thinking about quarterbacks. How do quarterbacks look? Because, they always look good. When you're in the best shape of your life or the best in-shapeness of your life, you always look good in practice. Let's begin with the Chicago Bears as they try to resurrect Mitchell Trubisky, second overall pick in the 2017 draft. Here is some of the chatter coming out of Chicago as it relates to Mitchell Trubisky, both from his head coach and from Trubisky himself and from one of the players to whom Trubisky may be throwing the football.
He's in a place right now mentally that I really just feel like is really good. This is now going to the third year with me and me being able to learn who he is. I like where he's at.
He actually looks like a whole new player this year, man. It's just, I just see it in his eyes each and every day, man. He's got that fire on him. So I feel like he's been a more leader. Last year I didn't feel like he was that guy, but this year I feel like he's taking over. He wants everybody to know he's that guy, and we can come to him when we need something, and he's doing that. He's doing a hell of a job of it.
Kind of a compliment from Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, it was.
Of.
Yeah, you're right.
Kind of.
Right.
Kind of an insult.
Yeah.
Last year he wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
This year he is that guy. And it's easy to be that guy when you're not playing games. The question is, are you going to be that guy during the week in and week out grind? When you hit adversity in football season, you feel like you've had a bad game. You're down in the dumps. You're trying to find a way to get yourself going again. You're having self-doubt in yourself, as you would say. Look, I don't if a guy doesn't look great at this stage of the season in camp practicing without the opportunity of being hit, if he doesn't look great now, he's never going to look great, Chris. They all have to look great now.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. You should be looking pretty good, because, it hasn't got, too in-depth as far as the defenses that are being thrown at you and things like that. But, you're right, too. The ultimate test will be how do you react to those live bullets if you are the starting quarterback there in Chicago. But, even that, we're going to read between the tea leaves, right? I mean, there's some things there to take away where I go, yeah, Cordero Patterson obviously is referring to last year. This guy did not give an aura of confidence or make you feel like, whoa, he's got it all down here in this offense and he's feeling good and we can just, jump on his back and he'll carry us. But when you hear mentally, in a good place, like Nagy's saying, and you could see it in his eyes and a whole different person, that to me, just in quarterback talk, it shows me that probably a guy that has a true understanding of the offense now. Yeah, it's his third year in the NFL, and he's used to NFL life and what it takes to get ready. But, again, he's been in two different systems in a very short time in his career. And last year was only his second year in the Matt Nagy system. He certainly regressed. But when I hear different look in the eye and better place mentally, that to me shows a guy that's stopped thinking. He's breaking the huddle now and welcoming questions like, oh, no, hey, you line up here. Hey, be ready for this, right? Giving all those kind of clues. Where last year he was probably breaking the huddle and not looking at anybody because he was like, please don't ask me a question. I'm not sure what the hell I'm supposed to do yet. So there is that. And that confidence that Cordero Patterson talks about in your eyes, he could probably see, man, this guy's telling the play. He's barking it out where there used to be this pause of him wait, what's going on here? What do I have to do here? Hey, I'm talking to you guys, but I'm also thinking in my own brain, and the players aren't fooled by that stuff. That makes sense?
Couple of things.
Okay.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say this, because there are people who are now paying attention at home for the next page in the book of Simmsisms.
What did I say?
I do have to say, when you said, let's read between the tea leaves, that you were reading off of the document. I don't know who we blame for printing in.
It's a self-aware joke,
right?
All right. Because I say it all the time.
Before?
Yes, I say it.
All
I do.
See,
right.
I've missed it before.
It's reading between the lines and reading the tea leaves. It's a little It's a little more in depth than your normal.
It's like self-scouting thyself, which
Right.
And it's the thing. The first time someone's watching, and hopefully every day there is someone who's watching for the first time, they may wonder what the hell was going on. I have missed or forgotten reading between the tea leaves, so I apologize for that.
Yeah.
There's so many
I don't
of
think
them,
you're
I
an
can't keep
avid
them all
listener
straight.
of my podcast either, so I understand.
I'm not.
No.
Avid? No, I'm not.
No.
Only when I'm on it is when I listen to it, and even then, it's 50% of the time. As Trubisky, Here's the thing. It went so well in Nagy's first year, and they got to the playoffs. They went 12-4. Last year was the year that I think maybe Nagy wanted to maybe open up more of the playbook and throw Trubisky a little more into it, and maybe that's when he got overwhelmed by it all. Like maybe that first year, I'm just going to do the things that I know this kid can do. Second year, I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to pull him out of the comfort zone. I'm going to try to make him into a guy who fits this offense, not my offense into something that fits him. And maybe that's when it went off the rails. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, obviously, Matt Nagy's gotten to the point where he's exasperated with Mitchell Trubisky, and he wants someone who can run that offense, and that's why Nick Foles is there. And for now, Trubisky responding to the challenge by stepping up and exuding the confidence and doing the things and saying the things he needs to do. The question is, like you said, when it's time to play in a real game, if it is Trubisky on the field, or if it is Nick Foles, or if they both get opportunities, how will Trubisky react when he encounters that adversity? And how will Foles play? Foles has been the backup.
Yep.
He's been the starter. He's been, and I think this is the first time, maybe since early in his career, when it was him and it was Mike Vick, and we weren't really sure who the guy was in Philly until one guy took it and ran with it, and that was Foles, frankly. This is kind of the first time Foles has been in that mode, and it's been 8 years, where we're not really sure who the guy is. But we don't know how Foles is going to play. When he's the unquestioned starter, it ain't so good. When he's the backup, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, right.
When it's kind of even, maybe Foles ends up, maybe this is all a waste of time. Maybe Trubisky is going to still be on the bench because it also matters how Foles looks and what Foles does and whether Foles can run away with the job.
Well, you hear, and I've seen a few things where people say, and Foles has been impressive. I mean, the one thing I think we can count on from Foles here is he's not going to blink. He's not affected by this. The one thing we know about him is he's pretty much the same guy. Oh, hey, we're down by 7 in the Super Bowl. We're up by 7 in the Super Bowl. We're up by 30 in the NFC Championship game. He's pretty even keel and doesn't seem to be affected by much. And, I've had people push back on me on my podcast sometimes to go, because I go, Nick Foles is going to know this offense every bit as, well as Trubisky. And people, what do you mean? Trubisky, this is his second year in the system. Yeah, but Nick Foles has been with Andy Reid and been with Doug Peterson. This is the same offense. It's going to be almost the same verbiage. He's going to understand all the same rules and all of that. So he is not going to be in a mentally flustered place like you would for most free agent quarterbacks who are coming in, like maybe a Brady who's trying to learn the language still and, figuring out, wait, this meant go route in New England. Now this means go route here in Tampa Bay. All of those things, there's going to be comfort level there with Nick Foles. So I expect him to be the consistent one. Trubisky, he's got some special qualities about him to where he could be the guy that makes the more eye-popping plays, runs, big throws, things like that, certainly. But the issue is, he can be very inconsistent with decision-making and throwing. And that's what I think we're hearing so far, just as out of that Bears camp, is that seems to have improved, if I was just taking anything away from those comments we heard yesterday or anything. And that'll be interesting. We'll see where it goes. But, yeah, the offense has to take the next step. The offense, I do believe, was held back a little bit by Trubisky last year, certainly. I think you explained it right. It was year 2. They wanted to expand, and because year 1, they kind of just, like you said, kept it basic. Let's let Trubisky scramble a few times, and we got this great defense. Well, year 2, people caught on to some of that basic stuff, and you want to expand, but I think it was overwhelming to Trubisky, and it caused some moments of, some below-average play.
Remember the comment in the Monday night game, right? Early in the season? Was it Monday or Sunday? That they can't
That was his first year. That was 2 years ago. That was
but right.
But that
was
yes,
2018.
Right.
That confirms
it
that
does.
They went training wheels with him in 2018. Week 2 Monday night, 2018. They were going easy, they were going basic, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. And then last year it didn't work because they were going less basic. The training wheels came off, and the wheels came off after the training wheels came off. Here's something that I'm still going to keep an eye on, because in this craziest of seasons, with everything being upside down and no preseason to put guys out there and see how they play, I am expecting that there will be, not just at the quarterback position, but across the board, I think we're going to see more rotation of guys in. We're going to have more guys getting live reps. You're not going to have your depth chart set in stone week one because you haven't had a chance to see how guys look. And why would you go blindly with the first stringer from last year when there may be a new guy who hasn't had a chance to prove himself in the preseason? You treat September as a quasi-preseason. And you justify it by saying, hey, you never know when a guy's going to be on the COVID-19 list. We got to have everybody ready to play. We got to have everybody ready to go in the event that someone tests positive and isn't available. And you extend that to the quarterback position as well, because how can you really tell who your best guy is for the balance of the season unless you find a way to get both of them on the field early? And what's wrong with that, Chris? I know that you need that one guy who's the leader, and the platoon system's never really worked, and Steve Spurrier tried it, and it was a disaster in Washington. But I feel like this may be the year to consider something like that if you don't have a settled and clear-cut number one quarterback.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think it's as crazy as, I would push back in years past. This could be one of those scenarios where, you got two guys. It was very close in training camp. Hey, let's just say Trubisky is the starter. They decide to go with Trubisky. Let's say they win week one, right, Mike? But it's ugly. It's not a good offensive game for the quarterback or the offense in general, but they win 16-13. Would I sit there and go, okay, now it's week two, Trubisky starts again, but the same thing. Game starts off, it's shaky. And they're down 6-3. Would I think it's crazy to go, oh, okay, they're putting Nick Foles in to kind of see what he's got? Can he jumpstart the offense? Can they do something around him schematically that makes more sense for their team? All of those to tinker with it in this type of scenario, I think it is more realistic than years past. You're right, but this is one team, I think, or there's not a lot of teams that fit this conversation. The Bears are, in a special place here.
Right. And look, the platoon system has, in one specific situation, worked, although it wasn't used for long. Do you remember 2007, Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah.
Matt Leinart was the starter.
Right.
And anytime they'd fall behind by 7 points, Kurt Warner got put onto the field, and he would pull the bacon out of the fire and even things up, and then Leinart would come back, and then they'd fall behind, and then Warner would come back in, and then they'd get back in the game, and then Leinart would go, and it continued, and Leinart didn't like it until he broke a collarbone, and it was Kurt Warner all the time, and that was that for Matt Leinart. But, we hear all the time when there's a quarterback injured, they try to keep it all close to the vest because you want the defense to have to prepare for both guys. Well, use both guys, and then they have to prepare for both guys. They're going to waste time preparing for both guys. They're not wasting it because they need to dilute their preparation for one because they have to prepare for the other because they're going to see both at some point. I think this year it's something that in the cities that do not have a clear-cut number one, it's something that you can use as a weapon. It's something you can use strategically to make your team better if you can get your quarterbacks to buy into it, Chris.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot there. There really is. I mean, the platoon system is different to me than, hey, we started one guy. Hey, it's week two, like I just explained. We're still struggling on offense. We're going to put another guy in and see if he can be better.
I'm saying use him in the same game.
I know you are.
Same game.
I know you are.
Not if one guy struggles. No,
I know
we are using both. Even if the first guy is 10 for 10, we're going to give the other guy some reps and see through that process which guy is going to be our starter eventually. That's what I'm saying. Treat it kind of like the preseason.
They could do that, certainly. I mean, I don't think it's crazy. Now, there's other issues with this offense too, but I don't think that's always going to lead itself a true platoon system. Quarterback is so hard to play. And if you're in one series, out another series, in two series, out two series, I did this my sophomore year early on with Major Applewhite at Texas. It is the dumbest crap ever. There's parts of me that looks back at it now and just said, coach, the hell with it. Just let him play. And when he gets hurt, I'll come in and we'll see where it goes from there. Because there was days, Mike, where there was games where I was the hot quarterback. I was the hot hand. But he had been there, and they trusted him, and it was a big moment. And even though I had outplayed him that day, here we were, he was going to go in. And, that bothered me. It still bothers me, as you could tell. But I don't know if it's best for the team. I don't know if it's always best for the offense. and it's hard to formulate, game plans and a way to attack, the most effective way when you're playing different types of quarterbacks. I hear what you're saying. It gives them different wrinkles, different looks, but I'm not so sure that's the best thing for a team, especially where if I'm the Bears, I want to play through my defense. I want to run the ball maybe a little bit this year. That'll help the quarterback and set the tone that way and play action passes off of it and do that. I'm never in favor of platooning the quarterback. That's one position where it's tough for me to say I like that.
Quick story, when I was in college a very long time ago, obviously was not on the football team. It was at Carnegie Mellon. They had 2 entire offenses, and one would play as long as they scored, and if they punted or had a turnover, the other entire offense went in. The ultimate meritocracy. 2 separate offenses, and as long as you keep having success, you keep playing. I can't remember if the team was any good, but I'll never forget that experiment. And, maybe you could do something like that at the quarterback position. Put one guy in. As long as you score points, you're the guy.
Well,
the moment you don't, the other guy gets a chance.
I'll say this much. First off, we're talking quarterback. And I would also, and again, we know maybe Trubisky was a big part of, holding back Matt Nagy and his offense and everything like that. But we're going to see this year because that offense has to grow to help the quarterbacks. I know that. And if Trubisky's the one holding you back and you can't grow it to that, point, then damn, don't play him. Nick Foles has got to be the player. So that is going to be a big issue. But the offense itself last year was underwhelming, predictable. You heard us talk about yesterday with the Dallas Cowboys. I never understood what the Bears were trying to do as a game plan. Like, I never looked at a game film and went, oh, I get it. They're trying to run and attack this side, and, they got a weakness here in the secondary they're trying to attack. Okay, that makes sense. Ooh, yeah, they got a lot of cool plays to attack that. No, it seemed like it was just like, hey, here, let's spin the Rolodex. Oh, play 44. Hey, here, Mitch, play 44. Hey, next play. Oh, I don't know. Well, it's play 77. Let's go to play 77. Okay, cool. Great, cool play. There's got to be something more to that, let alone their offensive line stunk and their run game stunk. So, all those things got to get cleaned up, too, if we want this quarterback thing to work. And the other thing, too, Mike, just to throw it on there to add to your, quarterback wrinkle or whatever, if you do have Nick Foles as a starter, Trubisky can be that slash-type quarterback if you wanted to do it. Throw him a screen pass. Give him a toss, quarterback pass, things like that. I mean, he is that type of athlete that certainly wouldn't be out of place in that certain situation to give them that schematical advantage you're talking about.
He didn't run as much last year as in 2018, but
No.
he was dangerous. I remember that Sunday
Very.
night game against the Vikings. He was running circles around the Minnesota defense until he got injured in that game.
The Patriots game, remember, he had some great scrambles that year. He hurt his shoulder early last year, and I wonder if that also affected his willingness to want to run and scramble too.
The handwriting, though, is on the wall for Trubisky. When they don't pick up the fifth-year option, when they bring in Foles, it's clear that they are disenchanted with Trubisky. It's on him now to get the team change its mind.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.